I feel like it has been quite some time since I've done a first impression video, but that is what I'm doing today. I'm keeping my promise from my poll earlier this week. Hello friends, happy Friday, so very excited that you're here. Earlier this week, I think it was this past Tuesday, I was like, hey, there's these two great manga that are coming out. I don't know if I should do a first impression on just one of them or both of them. As of right now, filming this video, both is overwhelmingly winning, but one of them was coming in second place. But first, in case if you're wondering, what are the two manga? One of them was Tales of the Tendo family, which is a new release by One Piece Books. The other one is The Villainess's Guide to Not Falling in Love by Square Enix. This is a villainous otome game kind of story, and it's a new release as well, though I think it came out last week. But I've been very curious about both of these. I was influenced when it came to this one. But I had Tales of the Tendo family pre-ordered for a while now. I was excited to see that it came in second place, and since it came in second place, I thought I would do a first impression on it. The only not exciting thing about today is I did not super love this story. I'm gonna talk more about it, though there will be no spoilers, and I hope my battery doesn't die because I forgot to charge it right before filming. But anyway, in case if you're not familiar with this story, it is about our main girl who doesn't actually technically have a name that we personally know. She is being called Ron in this series, though, or at least this first volume. As she's washing her clothes in the river, she doesn't come across this floating young woman who's face down is coming towards her, and she pulls her out of the water, helps her to start breathing again, and it was like, what in the world? Good thing I found you. What was happening? This young woman is devastated because she purposely threw herself into the river with intention of not making it out alive out of this river. She's telling Ron, like, hey, I have to go wed this man here. His name is Masato. He is in the Tendo family, and right now there's a lot of, I guess, things happening where they're trying to become the head of the Tendo family, and people are being taken out, I guess, left and right. And so the rumor is that for any woman that marries into this family, that they just don't last long, that usually something happens, an accident happens, and so this young woman did not want to marry into this family. But Ron here is like, hey, that is a horrible reason to, sort of sounds weird that she said that, but she's like, that's a horrible reason to extinguish your life. She's like, how about this? You go run, flee wherever, be safe, and I instead will pretend to be you. I'll take your clothes, we'll swap clothes and whatnot. I will go in your place. The problem is, that sounds good, right? She could not deceive this man. This man's a very smart young person. He saw right through her lies, and now Ron is stuck in this situation where she is the bride-to-be, supposedly, to him, and things get complicated. And that's pretty much the first volume, how the series opens up. This was an interesting read. It was not what I expected. I ultimately want to say, I think this book was not for me. I do not think it's a bad book, but it was different than I expected. I knew that it was very intense from the beginning. I knew that this young woman here, her life is on the line, that things were not going to be easy, but I was sort of unprepared. I think it seems like it's going to get worse before it gets better. I can handle that sometimes, but I don't know if there's been a lot of things that have been happening in my personal life that have been very overwhelming, so I've had to be very careful of what I'm reading, and so I don't know if that influenced where I just didn't feel overly invested in this story. There were parts that I liked about it, but I was just like, it was hard to connect with the main female, and I definitely didn't like our hero. This had some My Happy Marriage vibes, like when it comes to setting and some of the clothing and whatnot, but that's sort of where the comparison ends because Masato is nothing like our male lead in My Happy Marriage. They both may be very beautiful men. They may come across as cold, but that is the biggest difference is, I'm blanking on his name right now, but the guy in My Happy Marriage, he seems cold, but he's actually a really wonderful man, very caring. He loves Mio very, very much. Masato just seems cold-hearted. He does an action near the end of this. I'm not going to say what it is, but he does an action. I was like, did he really just do this? He's not afraid to manipulate situations for his favor. Now, somebody could say that when you're reading this, yes, Masato does not leave a good first impression, at least in my opinion, but that there are expressions that he makes where you can see there's something really not good about this family, and we even see that with his aunt, that it's like, girl, you need to back up, and I think these accidents aren't accidents, and that maybe you are part of the problem and behind the scenes. I think Masato might be innocent in that. I actually don't really know, but he makes these expressions where I think how crazy this family is and how they are scheming and trying to take one another out. I think that he puts maybe on a front, again, based off of these expressions where like maybe he's not loving having to be this way, but he has been forced to be this way. With that said, though, I do think that his actions are his own, especially near the end. Where I struggled when it came to our heroine is that I think she's a good heroine, okay? I did like how she's not a damsel in distress. She can kick butt. She knows martial arts. She can defend herself really well. But it was hard for me when her main motivation throughout this entire volume is that she wants to not be alive anymore. We find out that she did try to take her life and things didn't work out well, and she loves this man who took care of her. His name is Grandpa. We don't know his actual name or anything, but he raised her basically. She just wants to be with him. He passed away, and she has this small stone tablet where she talks to him every day and she honors him every day, but she felt that when she tried to take her own life, he was not happy and he made the plan fail. So her plan going forward is that, well, if she saves enough people and helps enough people, then Grandpa will be okay when she finally takes her life, and that she can just be with him, because that's all she ultimately wants. That literally is her main motivation. And Masato takes advantage of that. He manipulates her in that he's like, okay, your grandpa is dead and you need to stop doing what you're doing, which I was like, dude, this is not your place to be saying this, but he's like, you need to stop. Why don't you basically live for me in a sense until you feel satisfied that you could take your own life? And I just was not vibing with that. It was really hard for me to connect with that kind of main motivation, even though I think she's a very sweet girl and I was very touched how she really wants to help people. Even if she had a odd motivation behind it, she does seem to have a big heart for people and does want to help other people. Not only that, she can kick butt, and I know I mentioned that, but because of the martial arts, there is a scene with the dog. She completely takes out this dog, and it was like I let out a gasp, because look at this. I mean, look at this. She charges basically right in, punching and doing other things to this dog, and I was like, whoa, that is crazy. I mean, there's a little bit of sprinkling of humor in this volume. It's sad humor, though, in this sense, because she is able to defend herself like this, because she is so strong. The running joke is sort of that they have to tie her up often to make sure that she does not escape the Tendo family, that she stays here, because all she wants to do, she fulfilled her role of pretending to be this man's bride for the sake of this tea party to keep heirs. And she's like, okay, I fulfilled it. I'm ready to go home. And he's like, no, you cannot go home. And it was heartbreaking, but the humor comes in because she's so strong. She has to be tied up and kept here often, but she often escapes. And I was just like, well, I just couldn't get behind that. I just couldn't get behind that. So this first volume, I don't know. I am not going to continue it. I'm going to stick with One Piece Books' other series that I super love, Yusutoki Rhetoric. It was my favorite read in January. I continue to adore and I love that series. But I think this one was not quite for me. I do think, Masato, that this is going to be a slow burn series when it comes to character development, and it'll be one that's most fulfilling if you keep reading. Unfortunately, financially, I cannot invest in that to keep reading. I didn't have a huge issue with this first volume, but I also felt I was not connecting enough with the characters, was not happy enough with the characters, where I was like, okay, I'm gonna go ahead and pre-order and read volume 2. If my library got this series, I'm pretty sure I would check it out, because I am curious to see what our main girl is gonna do, because now she seems to be officially, she's gonna stay in this family, and I'm hoping that Masato changes, that he acts kinder, just simply will be kinder to her, because Ron is a beautiful heroine, and I don't feel like she needs to be treated like that. So hopefully this first impression helped capture some thoughts of what I felt. I would love to know, though, are you going to be checking out this volume or this series? Do you like historical romantic fantasy? I think this is what this falls under. Let me know down below, and if you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe, and thank you so much for watching. Bye!